And these two, Mr. Secretary, please take a look at this. A subject on PE, let us have them, grassroots physical education and sports, and let us put a budget that we will subsidize Boy Scout and Girl Scouting in our country. With that, Madam Chair, I wish again to give my total support for the budget of the Department of Education and its attached agencies. So move, Madam Chair. Time.
Thank you for the manifestation, Representative Rodriguez. We will deal with that motion at a proper time. Next to ask question is from the minority, Representative Ramon Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning po to the Secretary of the Department of Education and the rest of our fellow public servants in the DepEd. In as much as we have the motion was retracted, I would like to, in my own way, honor our time tradition. If the good secretary would allow, I would just direct my questions to his undersecretaries.
Certainly. Thank you, Congressman Rogers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to direct my question to the Undersecretary for Curriculum and Teaching.
Yusek Gonong, you're recognized.
Okay. Madam Chair, I made that manifestation because my questions will mostly be about the utilization of 2022 and 2023. Now, Madam Chair, based on reports, on November 21, 2023, the DepEd celebrated Araw ng Pagbasa, and this was spearheaded by the Bureau of Learning Delivery under the Curriculum and Teaching. Is that correct, Madam Chair?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
And during that event, Madam Chair, this was celebrated with the launching of Isang Kaibigan. It was held in a public elementary school in Quezon City. Is that correct, Madam Chair?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
So, Madam Chair, as the USEC being responsible for curriculum and teaching, and by that line of logic, yung Bureau of Learning Delivery, may we ask po, kayo po ba yung responsible for the production of this book, yung Isang Kaibigan?
Madam Chair, hindi po.
What is the role of the curriculum and teaching strand po in the production and development of Isang Kaibigan? I understand this was a project of the former secretary. Is that correct, Madam Chair?
Yes, Madam Chair. Wala pong role ang Department of Education sa development, reproduction, or printing of Isang Kaibigan storybook.
Thank you. Madam Chair, so as per reports, the illustrators were a certain Janina Simbilio and Joseph Kaliner of the Creative Media Unit, Public Affairs of the Service of the Department. Is this report erroneous, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, I have no knowledge of that.
No knowledge. Madam Chair, under what department po kaya itong Public Affairs Service of the DepEd?
With your permission, Madam Chair, the two are employees of the Public Affairs Service Division of the Department, Your Honor.
They are employees.
Yes, but there is no payment made to them for whatever they did. So it's either they made it gratis or for free, or they were paid on the side. We don't really know because there's no record official payment to them. But just for the record, they are employees, job order employees of the Public Affairs Service. Is that a bureau? Service. Public Affairs Service of the DepEd, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, and apologies you had to answer that. But thank you for the confirmation. So the book there was a hand in the development of the book by employees of the DepEd, although it is probably by gratis or unrelated to their official functions of the DepEd. So that's something to note. So hindi po naman erroneous yung statement ng report na yun. So, Madam Chair, prior to its launch, it would be said then that what is the knowledge of the good Undersecretary about this book? Was it the first time for her to find out about Isang Kaibigan during the launching itself? Because it was mentioned na wala po silang kinalaman sa development, but surely, perhaps in the procurement or in the preparation of the program, they have had some knowledge of this book.
Yung particular book po, nakita lang namin noong launch, but we know that she's going to read. Kasi po yung program na Araw ng Pagbasa, we do that yearly. And we invite reading ambassadors. So, minsan mga kilalang mga tao, mga officials ng DepEd, nagbabasa po yan sa mga schools. And they can choose the storybook that they're going to read. So, in this araw ng pagbasa in a Quezon City school, ang binasa ni VP ay yung kanyang story.
I see. So at the time po, Madam Chair, as per the yearly event that you would have, yung reading ambassador is the former secretary.
Hindi naman po. Iba-iba po, kasama secretaries, kasama ang mga undersecretaries, assistant secretaries, regional directors, lahat po ini-invite namin actually na maging reading ambassador.
But in that instance, at least for Isang Kaibigan, that was the former secretary and that was her choice of book. Her book, Isang Kaibigan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, is there no role on the part of the DepEd to curate what book would be read for Isang Pagbasa? They leave it totally at the discretion of the reading ambassador po ba?
Yes po. We ask the reading ambassadors to pick a book that they want to read as long as the book is appropriate to the level of the learners.
In that case po, Madam Chair, how many reproductions of the book would be required for a public reading? Because you mentioned this was not part of the DepEd, so hindi po kayo yung nag-produce ng book na ito.
Hindi po. It's a big book po. So, kahit na isang book lang po, merong 10 students halimbawa sa harapan ng reading ambassador, malaki yung book, may mga pictures yung book, so yung reader reads the book na nakikita ng mga bata yung illustrations ng book.
Madam Chair, but if I recall correctly, and perhaps we can have the Secretariat pull up a picture later on, there were actually multiple copies of the book and each child was holding one. So I would assume that there was some preparation on the part of the department regarding this event.
There was a preparation regarding the event, Your Honor, but the distribution of textbooks wasn't done by the Department of Education. The printing, the distribution wasn't done by DepEd.
But for the case of that instance po, that event, then there were multiple copies of the book. Wala pong alam po yung curriculum and teaching.
Na alam po
As to
namin na may mga...
about how many books were prepared for that particular event. I understand, Madam Chair, the answer na wala pong kinalaman yung department in the production, supposedly, and development of the book. But we just wanted to know po, for that particular event.
Ang alam ko po, konting-konting copies lang po ang na-ready noon. Kasi nangihingi nga rin po ako ng copy noon, hindi rin po ako nabigyan. Kasi konti lang talaga para dun lang sa mga estudyante na umatendong reading session.
So, Madam Chair, okay, thank you. Just to clarify po, no, so no public funds were used in the production of the book. It was not come under any line item, and therefore did not also go through any of the quality assurance and accreditation required under the DepEd. None of that po.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.